If possible, John Jacob Astor's private suite had even more floor-to-ceiling windows than the one we had just left, more crown molding, and a larger fireplace, and an even more spectacular view of the city. One of the windows was actually a door that opened onto a terrace of greenery overlooking the city. The furniture was fit for royalty. A bellhop arrived with an overloaded luggage cart. A strikingly handsome, dark-haired man, in his early 20s, entered the suite behind him. He handed the bellhop a tip and instructed him to bring the suitcases to the master bedroom. "Bonjour, Mr. Giglio," Natalie greeted him. "Bonjour, Miss Abbott," he responded in a quick, polite bow. Mimi was trying not to stare, and I caught her looking at him. I could understand why. He reminded me of an actor who might see on a stage playing a prince or a knight, broad shoulders and tall. He departed with the bellhop, but not before noticing Mimi. Their eyes met, and then Mimi looked away shyly. "You like him, eh?" Natalie whispered to Mimi mischievously when he was gone. "He's very handsome," Mimi whispered. "Who is he?" "Victor Giglio, Benjamin's new valet." "Come, Mimi, I will show you the dress I was talking about," Natalie said, as she pulled Mimi with her deeper into the suite. "It is the latest from Paris. You're going to adore it." Then, as though remembering her manners, she hurried back to Thad and me, scooping 2 menus from the side table and handing them to us. "Order what you would like for lunch. I will have the lobster, you should too. Order everything on the menu." "Yes, order us a fine lunch," Mr. Gunningham agreed. "If you'll excuse me, I must go call my booker." When he disappeared into the office off to the main living room, Thad and I were left alone to look at each other down the hotel telephone on the table, burst into incredulous laughter out of the sheer fun of it. "Well, I never expected this," I remarked. "Me neither," he agreed, unsmiling. "It's all so obnoxious." Obnoxious, I thought. It was kind of marvelous. We've stumbled into a life of luxury. Yeah, for us it's a lark, but don't you think the way these people live is ridiculous? Ridiculous? I didn't see anything ridiculous about it. I thought it was all too good to be true. Thad gestured around the room. Why do they deserve all this while the rest of us have to struggle? Are they better than us? I never thought about it before. Luckier, maybe, I ventured. You bet they're luckier. They're lucky their fathers were born before they were. John Jacob Astor and William Wardorf, his cousin, who also owns this place, inherited their money. They didn't work for it. They run this hotel, I pointed out. They hire guys like Bolt to run it for them. What about the man like Thomas Edison who earned his fortune from his brain? Thad waved me off dismissively. Don't talk to me about Edison. He's a greedy industrialist like the rest of them. If anything, assuming wealth through your own ruthlessness and treachery is even worse than inheriting it. I recalled how Tesla felt Edison had wronged him. Tesla is not like that, though, I said. And look at what it's gotten him. He's consciously on his brink of bankruptcy because he's not one out to build personal fortune. He wants his inventions to serve people. He wants to pull energy down from the air and light the world for free. Do you think guys like Edison and his bankers will ever let that happen? Not when they're making fortunes charging people for electricity. You sound so bitter, I remarked. I'm sorry, Thad said. It's not directed at you. I can tell that you're not wealthy. I was suddenly painfully aware of the plainness of my blue cotton dress and the scruff marks on my well-torn boots. But Thad seemed to think they were superior to the lavishness surrounding us, so I didn't feel as bad as I might have otherwise. It's just that when I see Tesla up against every step of the way, the rich guys won't let him succeed in his work, Thad went on. The only reason he gets anywhere at all is because he finds wealthy backers who hope that Tesla is smarter than the other guys, which he is by miles, and that he'll invent something that makes them a fortune. But then Tesla finds a way to produce his inventions inexpressibly and then decide there's not enough profit in it, so they withdraw their fundings. Even worse, they trip him up, mess up his work, and set fire to his labs. Do you really believe that's true? I know it's true, he exploded. I've seen his inventions work perfectly, and then he goes to demonstrate to a crowd, and it's all a bust. How do they get away with it? I ask. The police don't bother them because they're rich. Edison and his backers hire thugs to disappear into the back alleys and crawled out of. The rich guys have no ethics. They just love money and don't care that Tesla and his great genius of our time. But before you said he was nuts. That nuts. He's also nuts. In some ways. What ways? He's crazy about germs, always cleaning his silverware, even in restaurants, yet he loves pigeons, which are just flying rats, if you ask me. He loathes women's jewelry, especially pearl earrings. Don't wear pearls around him, or he won't talk to you. I don't have any. Good, you don't need them. I wondered what he meant, you don't need them. Was it a compliment towards me, or just an insult of women who bothered with pearls? What should I wear then? I asked. What you have on, he replied. You look perfect, just the way you are. I felt heat at my temples and turned away. The last thing I wanted was for him to see me blush like some sort of silly schoolgirl. Perfect. Did he really think so? When Mimi and Natalie returned from the living room, Mimi had put on a gorgeous deep purple dress with a hobbled skirt. How do you like it? She asked, turning in the tiny steps required by the ankle length narrow skirt. Natalie said everyone in Paris is wearing this. That skirt would drive me insane, I remarked. Dad chuckled approvingly. Why? Mimi asked. You're completely hobbling by it. What do you mean? Mimi asked. It cripples you, I offered. It's no accident that it's called a hobble skirt. Hobble means crippled. I see you have not the love of fashion that Mimi and I share, Natalie said lightly. If my disapproval was unimportant. She dropped her arms around Mimi's shoulders and thought that they were old friends. A pang of possessive jealousy welled up inside me. How dare she presume this kind of familiarity with my sister? Are the lobsters here yet? Natalie asked. We haven't ordered, I admitted. And I've never used a telephone before. I'm not really sure what to do. Never used a telephone, Natalie cried incredulously. How quaint here. I will show you. She lifted up the horn-like receiver off the black metal pedestal. Before she could speak into it, Dad raised his hand to stop her. Come to think of it, we're not really hungry for the rich hotel food, he said. Jane and I are going to lunch in a good little restaurant I know of in Chinatown. I glanced at him in excitement, surprised. This was news to me. Would you ladies like to join us? He offered half-heartedly. No, I have my heart set on these lovely lobsters, Natalie declined. Me neither, I'll stay here with Natalie, Mimi said. Did she know what she was doing when she made this choice? Was she doing it for me or for herself?